partner alliance team here at Insight. I support the relationship with Dell Technologies over here. So thank you all for joining. And just going to do a quick little overview of Insight, who we are, and then our relationship with Dell Technologies. And we also have Jodey Hoagland on the call as well. He's a global PowerStore evangelist over at Dell Technologies. And so he's going to talk a little bit about PowerStore. And yeah, so I'll get started. All right, so Insight is a solutions integrator. Now, what does it mean to be a solutions integrator? And I swear we're not making the next Terminator movie over here. What a solutions integrator is that it means that we leverage our vast managed and professional services knowledge, our deep partner alliances, like the one that we have with Dell Technologies, our first-class engineers, solid customer relationships, and then we put all of those together and create a unique solution for our customers, building a client experience like none other. The typical system integrators typically drag projects out. At Insight, we execute efficiently and earn the right to do more for our clients. And traditional resellers sell products. So what we do is we leverage our partner relationships to ensure that we offer clients the best-in-class solutions-based technology. So I'm not here to bash any of the great companies on here because they're all great companies, and I've worked for some of them in the past. But the gist here of the slide is that Insight is going from one of many to one of one. The companies on the left, they lack the services portfolio that Insight bolsters. And the companies on the right lack the partner relationships and the deep client relationships from SMB to medium business to corporate up to enterprise. So putting all of those together and with our capabilities and delivering them as solutions is really our special sauce. And so what I wanted to convey with this slide is that these are our 6 solution areas here at Insight, right? Modern workplace, intelligent edge, data and AI, modern apps, modern infrastructure, and cybersecurity. And on the bottom half of the screen, that's how we align with Dell Technologies. So as you can see, we align very well. Insight has mastery at the entire stack. So edge, data center, and cloud. And we can help deploy and manage all of those solutions at scale. We also have the shops and certifications to help implement all these solutions on all the Dell core products, PowerStore including. We also have tons of Dell hardware that sit in what we call our innovation labs, where customers like yourselves can go and play in the sandbox, do a test environment. Some of the cool stuff that we're implementing right now is we have a full Dell AI factory solution that sits in our innovation hub out of Chicago, right? So that's being worked on. It is almost up and ready to go. We are building some of our proprietary demos on top of that. So that's what I want to do, just a quick overview of Insight, and then I wanted to kick it over to Jodey to talk a little bit about PowerStore for you. So Jodey, I'm going to stop sharing and hand the ball over to you.
All right. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man.
No problem.
All right. So my name is Jodey Hoagland. I'm the lead global evangelist for PowerStore at Dell Technologies, and wanted to take the opportunity to kind of walk you through what we're focusing on and premiering with PowerStore, but particularly what's new in our 4.0 software release and what we've branded as PowerStore Prime. So just kind of walk you through there. If there's any questions, definitely feel free to pose those questions in the Q&A. I'll be monitoring that and more than happy to pause and to go into any more detail on anything that you want to know as it relates to PowerStore. So just to kind of give you some insight on the framework of the platform and the basic capabilities, we deployed this 4 years ago. It went live with PowerStore May 5th of 2020. And since then, we've saturated 90% of the Fortune 500, and we've also shipped tens of thousands of PowerStores globally. So it is a a very fast-paced product. It is widely adopted in practically every vertical that's in the IT industry, as well as the pace at which we're innovating and releasing software is very high-paced as well. 7 major releases in 4 years, and the 4.0, probably the largest, most substantial release to date, bringing customers a lot more capabilities and features. Now, when we talk about the product holistically, we want customers to kind of understand they're getting an enterprise class storage array and a dual controller package, or at a mid-size or medium business price point. So it's actually, from a pricing perspective, it plays in that dual controller industry space, but from an overall capability and storage perspective, this is enterprise class storage that, again, is being used in some of the most critical environments in the world and in the industry. You're getting things like active data paths, non-disruptive hardware upgrades, non-disruptive software upgrades. Everything's designed to be completely redundant and resilient within itself, and then protection as well. So whether we're talking about localized internal protection, very efficient ways in doing that, snapshotting, replication, metro active data centers, all of those things are possible with PowerStore, and fully inclusive with the product set and the software stack itself. As a primary storage array, it is, from an industry perspective, unified storage, meaning it does support your traditional block workloads, file workloads, and even next generation capabilities with NVMe over Fabrics, both Fiber Channel and NVMe TCP. NVMe TCP being probably the fastest growing piece of the industry. It's growing dramatically. Month over month, I see more customers, and I see the adoption rates of NVMe TCP going higher and higher. Just to kind of framework that for you, you're getting now with 100 gig networks in particular, you're getting higher performance. So you're about 50% more performant than a 32 gig fabric, but you're 50 to 70% lower cost per port, right? Depending on the configuration. So when you factor in that you can get a ton more performance for a ton lower cost, that's actually what's driving that shift in the industry. And there's not a lot of people ripping out Fiber Channel and going with IP-based configurations, but what they are doing is they stand up net new environments. We do see a shift to IP-based connectivity. If you're an iSCSI customer, like, this makes a whole lot of sense, right? So if you're running iSCSI today, you can just simply transition to NVMe TCP in 99% of the cases and just see a ton more performance across that capability. Now, being able to leverage all of those protocols is great. And the profile of PowerStore, this is a bit of an eye chart, and I'm not going to get bogged down in all the speeds and feeds and metrics. This is all publicly available on the spec sheet. So this, it's not something that's specific here. I just want you to note the elegance of the engineering and the elegance of the design. Everything down here is the same, right? So when you're trying to determine what is it that's going to determine what model of PowerStore that you need to be in, I call this the ice cream truck, right? You see all the flavors here, the 500 all the way up to the 9200. Pick your flavor, pick your choice, but which one do I need? The answer to that question is just right here, is CPU memory. So when we're asking the question, what model, it's really driven off performance. That's it. Because every single one of these models, they can support the same capacity. They can support the same port configuration. They support the same scalability options. There's no difference other than how fast do you need it to go. So when the team is working with you, when Insight is surrounding you and helping you make a decision around, hey, which model of these do I need to be in? It's really going to boil down to looking at your environment, saying how fast does it need to go, and that's going to drop you into the model, right? So it's just crazy simple to be able to understand and leverage. If we take one of these models and kind of crack it open so you can get a view at it, all of these are a 2 rack unit form factor, right? So whether it's the 500 up to the largest 9200, they are very compact in design. So just looking at this here, to kind of give you an idea, we could have up to 21 of these high performance NVMe flash modules that are included inside of this platform. If we go with the 15 terabyte, which is the largest model that we support in PowerStore currently, 21 of those 15 terabyte devices at 5-to-1 data reduction, that's going to net you out just over 1 petabyte of effective capacity inside of that 2-rack unit form factor, right? So you can pack a ton of capacity in a very small 2-rack unit form factor. We can add expansion enclosures, and we can even go beyond that. So we can add up to 3 expansion enclosures on top of this. But the smallest config is 6 drives. So you can start extremely small, extremely cost effective, and then do single drive incremental growth, 7, 8 drives, 9 drives, go to 10 drives, go to 11 drives, right? And you can mix and match. So if you started with 3.8s or 7.6s, you could start adding the 15s in the future if that's what you wanted to do. So you're not bound to one particular configuration of what you start with. It's very dynamic, it's very flexible, very cost efficient, and gives us this very strong differentiator in the industry of starting with as few as 6, growing up into the 90s in classifications of drives for every single appliance model. They're all the same form factor, all that same scalability, and giving you that cost-effective nature of single drive scalability. So you're not bound to particular capacities in a particular model. If you have plenty of performance headroom in that model and all you need to do is add capacity, and you can do that in 1 drive increments, right? So the most expensive part of a flash array is the drives. So that is a huge benefit to our customers and something that they really love about PowerStore. Also, that data reduction that I mentioned at 5-to-1, we do offer a 5-to-1 guarantee for reducible data, and we're bringing a lot of logic and intelligence into that. And there's no compromise in this as far as performance is concerned either. So one of the things that we've done with compression in particular is we've fully integrated Intel QAT into our technology. So you've got your dual socket processors that are running on the array on each of the controllers or each of the nodes, but there's an additional physical chipset that's embedded on each of those nodes. We've done this since we launched PowerStore, so this is integrated day one. And that means that as we're running and as your workloads are running, we don't have to defer data reduction. We don't have to go into any kind of post-process mode. It's always on. You can't turn it off. You don't have to make a decision, well, I'll turn it on for this, I'll disable it for that. It's always on. It's hardware assisted. It's extremely good in how it functions and how it works. And so we're an industry leader here in what we would call advanced data reduction, because we do have that full integration of the Intel QAT chipset. And it's just very simple. Again, performance, scalability, reducibility, as well as simplified management. You don't ever turn it on. You don't ever turn it off. This is just running under the covers in the background and bringing those benefits to you. We can also cluster PowerStore appliances together. So you could actually have multiple arrays of PowerStore in the same cluster. So you can see we've got some different flavors here off the ice cream truck sitting inside of here. We've got our active controllers. This would be those 21 internal drives that I was talking about earlier. These are the expansion enclosures that gets us up to 90 plus drives per array. So we can have each of these arrays populated this way, but it's only a single storage pool, right, for each of these array, which means, again, crazy simplified management. You do not manage RAID sets. You do not manage, any kind of storage pools. We actually use a dynamic parity schema called DRE, Dynamic Resiliency Engine. There's over 100 patents that goes into that, and that's how we're protecting data and doing a lot of this stuff under the covers and giving this simplified single storage pool. But the reality is to the end user, to the customer, to the administrator, it just means it's just crazy easy, right? So I turn it on, disappears, right? That's all you have to do is initialize the array, and it's going to show up. You're going to have your storage pool, and you're going to be instantly ready to start creating volumes, LUNs, or file shares inside of there. In the cluster, we see all of this together, right? So you're managing all of this from the same place. You can see the cluster-wide view. You can drill down to the individual array view as well, but you can also do things like non-disruptively move workloads from one array to another seamlessly within the cluster. So if you say, hey, I need that workload to have the performance, of a 5,000 and it's sitting over here on a 1,000, we can non-disruptively move that workload. Your host will see that as a multi-pathing cutover, but it's non-disruptive, right? And we can take that workload and seamlessly move them around the cluster or between different PowerStore arrays at any time we want in real time. So very efficient, very easy to manage, and gives you that ability to move things dynamically without impeding or interrupting the processing and working of your applications. Also, we're providing free capabilities. This, Apex AI Ops comes with a support contract from Dell Technologies. And this is inclusive of the entire data center portfolio from Dell. So whether it's PowerEdge server, whether it's PowerStore storage, PowerMax storage, the whole portfolio of storage, PowerScale, PowerFlex, all of that stuff is included. You have this web interface on the support portal to log into and garner insight and access into the environment to see what's happening, what's going on. It's giving you visibility into trends, into operational consistencies and health checks, things like, hey, is something not multipath? Red flag, like lets you know. Right? So it's doing all of those proactive analytics and tracking and reporting back to you. You can also use this on your mobile phone. We launched this, years and years ago. PowerStore was kind of born into this technology and has been leveraging it since it launched. But we also bring some unique advantages in the industry. The cybersecurity risk assessment. So the cybersecurity risk assessment is we're looking at the NIST.gov database of common vulnerabilities and exploits that are out there and saying, hey, is something on this array configured in a way that is a known exploit or a known vulnerability? We will flag that. We'll give you a cybersecurity score. We'll tell you the CVE you're exposed to, and we'll give you the link to, hey, here's what you need to do. Turn this off or enable this or whatever that scenario is. That's fully inclusive. And I know a lot of places actually have upcharges for capabilities like that, but that's just part of what Apex AI Ops is bringing to the table. On top of that is anomaly alerting and detection. The anomaly alerting and detection is a really cool capability as well when you factor in or take into consideration that there are times where you may be dealing with some form of ransomware, right, at the host level. Well, that could change the way that I/O flows into the array. That could trigger an I/O anomaly alert that notifies you and say, hey, something's going on. Or maybe someone starts encrypting data. Encrypting data is going to change the reducibility profile of that data because you can't reduce encrypted data. As a result, the capacity is going to start trending differently, and we'll throw an anomaly alert on that, giving you a notification that you can go in and look and say, oh yeah, something's going on. We need to implement our cybersecurity plan. So we're giving you a lot of proactive capabilities that are fully inclusive of the product to be able to take advantage of and to mitigate those scenarios. On top of that, when we talk about cybersecurity, we're the first and only company to fully implement a hardware level root of trust capability. And everything is fully designed to NIST standards. So when, the mention of NIST.gov earlier and exploits, we're actually designing and architecting to those standards out of the gate. We've got FIPS 140-2 level 2 certified devices within the array. From a drive perspective, we do things like file level retention, worm locking on the file side of the house. We've got what we call KEPA integration for ransomware. You can actually plug this into third-party ransomware detection tools and scanning utilities, as well as antivirus and antivirus engines on the file side. Data at rest encryption. Every drive in PowerStore is encrypted. And then we have this supply chain, secure supply chain aspect with secure boot and hardware root of trust. So that is actually bringing a unique capability in the industry, which Dell pioneered in 2017 with PowerEdge servers, And now this has made its way into the enterprise storage portfolio for us. And that is that there can be no tempering with the root operating environment or the PowerStore OS low-level environment, that if someone were to compromise and try to install a backdoor or a Trojan horse of some sort, it wouldn't allow that. And this is actually a digitally signed instance of the PowerStore OS from Dell Engineering that joins itself with the Intel chipset and creates a hardware level binding, which doesn't allow for any of those backdoors to be brought in. This environment is so secure. We are listed on the U.S. Department of Defense authorized approved product list. So PowerStore is one of the only technologies in the world that is classified to be ran in some of the most hardened, strictest secure environments on planet Earth. And so we're glad for that, but these security technologies and capabilities is what allows us to be able to do that. There's a broad ecosystem integration capability as well. So a lot of, VMware, of course, is the largest scale hypervisor leveraged on the planet. We have direct PowerStore integration directly into the interface itself. So let me show you just kind of quickly. My screen's going nuts on me here. 1 second. Things just started scrolling by. Fun. Right. So let me show you real quick the interface here. This is it's a live demo here, but just to kind of give you an idea, on this compute tab in the environment, we can actually join PowerStore to VMware vCenter, and we can then view individual virtual machines. So you can actually see individual VMs. You can see, what their state is, what data store do they live on, what host are they mapped to. You can actually click on the virtual machine and get individual details about that specific VM. So we've done a lot of work of building direct integration with that partnership we have with VMware, and a lot of customers take advantage of that. It's a very nice capability that's included fully built in. Also, just about anything that you want to do from a programmable infrastructure perspective. So that would be, hey, we're doing something, with container-based environments and ecosystems. If you've got people coming at you with requirements for container-based storage, container-based implementation methodologies, note that with PowerStore and any of the Dell Technologies storage portfolio, you get our container storage modules at no cost to you. So these are fully included. They're plugins that allow you to work within the context of that container-based framework. You've got Ansible playbooks, fully open RESTful APIs. We've got a fully open CLI if you want to do shell scripting. So just about anything that you could want to do from an automation and programmability perspective, or sit back from the outside and send a command to tell PowerStore to do something, you've got that capability fully baked in. This is a really cool capability as well, our storage direct protection for PowerStore. If you're a data domain customer or PowerProtect data domain, you can actually do direct backups from PowerStore. It's fully built into the GUI, fully provided in the interface. There's no additional licensing cost. If you own PowerProtect data domain and you own PowerStore, you actually have the ability to do direct connectivity and direct backups and recoveries from there natively. A lot of customers using this framework to do vaulting, create air gap concepts that are going on in the industry, as well as the fact that you can do this with any model of PowerProtect. So you could have PowerProtect, physical data domain boxes on-prem, but a lot of customers use public clouds and hyperscalers, to say, hey, we want to archive or offload backups up into that cloud environment to get them off-site. Leveraging PowerProtect Data Domain Virtual Edition, DDVE, that can be deployed in any public hyperscaler and has the same direct integration and recoverability capability. So you can get that long-term up to 65-to-1 data reduction on those backups, archive them off, and then just pull that data back. And it's leveraging PowerStore snapshot technology. So you could actually just create a snapshot schedule on PowerStore and literally like one click enable this, and all of a sudden it starts shipping those snapshots to data domain power protect and archiving them off wherever you've specified. And then full recoverability of that as well. So really cool capability natively built in. Now on the PowerStore 4.0 front, I'm going to go through some of the big features that we announced at Dell Tech World this year with the 4.0 release. So these are kind of the 9 advantages that have been announced that you can take advantage of now with 4 code. Primarily is more performance for everybody. So all of those models that you just saw on the ice cream truck, think of this, everything just got faster, right? And you didn't have to upgrade hardware to do it. So this is software-based data path enhancements, allowing customers, whether they're in a generation 1 PowerStore or a 2nd generation hardware, we're actually on the 2nd generation of hardware today. So if you buy a net new PowerStore, it's going to be a Gen 2 more than likely. But whether you're a Gen 1 customer or a Gen 2 customer, these advantages apply. PowerStore OS is backwards compatible, so you can run 4 code on the very first systems that we shipped 4 years ago and get these performance enhancements and advantages, meaning lower latency, higher performance, higher back-end capabilities with functions like Xcopy, DAAI primitives, things of that nature, but applies to everyone. On top of that, if you say, hey, the software bump, the software performance bump is great, but what if I want that hardware level bump? We've been supporting upgrades from Gen 1 to Gen 2 already. So in this case, we have a 1000 series that we did a non-disruptive upgrade, fully online. We take, 1000 node, we take that one node out, we put in the 1200 node, and then we do that to the other side of the HA pair. And as a result, now you're in a Gen 2 system. So we've been supporting that for a while. What's new in Gen 2 is the ability to go from higher models of Gen 2 systems. So now we can go a 1200 to a 3200, a 32 to a 52, a 52 to a 92, and you can just kind of keep rolling through those upgrades if you need that hardware level bump on top of the software level bump. So you're not locked in. You've got complete dynamic flexibility to do whatever it is that meets your requirements and your needs. We've also worked really hard in reducing cost overall. And we've introduced a QLC-based platform that's based on our PowerStore 3200 model. So that 3200Q is using QLC drives. The starting point here, you can start small. It's 11 drives. That's going to net you out right at 103 terabytes of usable capacity. From usable capacity, if we're getting, say, 5-to-1 data reduction, that's a starting point, of over 500 terabytes. That's kind of the ground zero. So you're going to be starting with a lot of capacity, and then the ability in a single appliance and in a single cluster to grow up doing that one drive scalability, that single drive scale still applies here, but you can scale up to multi-petabyte inside of this one appliance or take advantage of it in a cluster. You can take our 3200Q and put it in a cluster with T's and non-disruptively move those workloads around. You get all of those benefits, all of those capabilities. There's not one single software advantage lost with the 3200Q. You get every single benefit, every single capability, including there is no loss in performance. So you actually are getting the same performance as a 3200T, that sub-millisecond latency, but on this QLC-based platform. So getting it to lower cost, but same performance, same software features, same functions. So driving a lot of value to customers, and we're starting to see the sales of those ramps since we launched this in May, and we started shipping in July, and they're already moving out of the factory pretty quick. We also made enhancements, and again, what you're seeing here from a trending perspective is that the software innovation, the software enhancements, because PowerStore OS is built and designed on a container-based framework. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything to an end user or an administrator, because you're just going to be driving things through the interface or sending things, via REST API commands to the array. to tell it to do things. But in reality, it gives us a programmability or a framework of design from a software architecture perspective to be able to really accelerate capabilities as far as how we roll out software packages and the ability to do new features and capabilities within those releases. So that's what's driving a lot of this innovation. And again, customers that adopted PowerStore 4 years ago are now taking advantage of this rapid pace, more performance, more scalability, and on top of that, more overall data reduction. So we actually made some enhancements in our compression capability. I mentioned earlier that we do have advanced data reduction. We've got that deduplication aspect going. We've got compression aspect going. We've got that integrated Intel QAT chip that allows us to never do post-process, always on, no performance impact whatsoever. But the compression side of the house, we actually enhanced how we're doing some things there in 4 code. And what that's done is it's given us up to about 20% better overall data reduction. So customers are now starting to see their data reduction increase just by doing the upgrade to 4.0. We also made enhancements on that DRE. That DRE is, I mentioned that earlier, that's how we do our underlying data protection schema and how we do spare space allocation across the array. There is no physical spare drive sitting idle in PowerStore. It's a hot space spare algorithm that leverages every drive in the architecture. One of the things that we did in this release is we actually made some enhancements in how that back-end system space and spare space utilization gets leveraged. And as a result, we return to the customer 2.5% of their storage, right? So depending on how much usable capacity you had, you did the upgrade to 4 code and log back in and look, and all of a sudden you got 2.5% more storage, right? So we're driving not just efficiencies and reduction and bringing more value to what you've purchased, but also being more efficient in how we do things from a system perspective and returning that back to the customers as well. So again, a lot of capacity capable inside of that 2-rack unit profile from a starting point. We also made enhancements in visibility from an interface perspective. And I'll just let me jump over, I'll show you this live in the interface. So here's the actual GUI itself. I'm gonna click on the dashboard here. And note we do have a 2 appliance cluster, top left of your screen here. You see appliance count equals 2. This has given us a global view of the cluster, and we've got 2 arrays that are clustered together here. But I'm getting a global overview of both appliances together. This capacity tab here in the middle, this will give me a global view of the capacity for all of the arrays in the cluster. And I could also get a global view of the performance for every array in the cluster. But on the capacity side, here we see data reduction, data savings, 6.4 to 1. If I hover over that, it's going to show me my overall data reduction number and then my reducible data reduction number. That reducible DRR, that's where our guarantee comes from. So when you hear us talk about we were at 4 to 1, now we're at a 5 to 1 guarantee, that's for that reducible data. And then, to my knowledge, we're the only player in the industry that's actually giving you an understanding and visibility into unreducible data. So we can actually, jump into the actual storage volumes themselves. And there's actually some new columns we added in 4 code: family overall DRR, family reducible, and family unreducible. So those are going to show up now inside of my volume listing. And inside of that volume listing, I can now see very clearly how much of this data is reducible, how much of it is non-reducible. Let me fix these columns so you can see this a little better. So family overall DRR, family reducible DRR, and then we've got this family unreducible DRR. How much data is sitting there that I can't reduce? So we're giving you a very strong level of understanding of, hey, if something's not, I thought it was going to reduce, it's not. Why? Maybe someone on the application side is encrypting something. Maybe there's columnar compression enabled in a database that you weren't aware of. So we're giving you a lot of visibility, and that's really easily determinable inside of that HTML5 based interface. So customers are really, really loving that level of visibility in the environment. Also, some resiliency enhancements. What's going on with integrated Metro active data centers? We've been supporting this for VMware for a while now, but we recently introduced with 4Code the ability to do bare metal Windows environments and Linux distributions as well. So if you have active data centers on bare metal Windows, bare metal Linux, traditional synchronous replication is there as well for both block workloads, file workloads, and of course asynchronous. That's been there as well. So just about any way that you could think of that, hey, I need to protect my data. I need snapshot asynchronous replication. I need synchronous replication, RPO equals 0, or I need Metro active, RPO equals 0, and RTO recovery time equals 0 as well. Everything just seamlessly and autonomously falls back and forth. We can support all of those scenarios, fully inclusive. They're part of PowerStore, no additional licensing. It's just there. So, and it's just literally, you can set this up and like within less than 5 minutes. It's just a handful of clicks to be able to do this. Also, with 4 is partnership that we have with a company called ProLion. And ProLion has a product called ClusterLion that allows for seamless Metro type failover for file. So if you're running your PowerStore environment, you're running your file shares like user home directories or something like that are running on PowerStore, and you say, hey, I want active capabilities. So like if I'm going to fail over from data center A to data center B, I want my file environment to actively fail over and come online at that target site. That's what ClusterLion gives you the ability to do. So ClusterLion can actually sit external as a witness for that file environment, and it'll actually communicate and say, hey, this primary data center file, just the file environment, has gone offline or something's wrong. I'm going to query it on this side and bring everything online from a file perspective. And it will do all of that for you autonomously in a matter of seconds. So very cool capability built in from a file perspective, because we all know block and file workloads operate a little differently, but this is a very cool capability that enables that. Also, all the rage about machine learning nowadays, and we have done some pretty cool magic in building quality of service into PowerStore, but actually giving it an AI boost and an AI flair with direct capability for performance bandwidth boosting and burst capabilities. So we're actually monitoring what's going on in real time, and we can actually take advantage of what's happening within the system at any given time and allow burst mode or burst capabilities to happen based on parameters that you set inside of this profile for the environment. So we've got machine learning built in to PowerStore that we've had for a long time. Since we launched the product, you actually can do automated data placement in a PowerStore cluster. PowerStore AI will actually handle where that data gets laid out for you. You can do things like recommendations on where workloads should go inside of a cluster. We've had performance profiles from the very beginning that would look at things, high, medium, low. Think of it as like t-shirt sizes, very simple. That, hey, if an array starts getting under duress for some reason, any reason, these workloads are my priority. Click, click, click. You set those variables, and PowerStore does the rest. On top of that now with QoS is this very smart, intelligent burst mode capability. So you can actually allow these things to burst above the profile that you set, and it'll do that for a period of time based on what's happening within the array. That's all fully inclusive as well. And how do you get there, right? We've got a ton of customers. In fact, it's a very interesting stat. Shipping product for 4 years now, a little over 4 years. In those 4+ years of shipping product, it's pretty consistent month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year. About 20 to 25% of every PowerStore that is purchased is a customer that has never purchased storage from Dell Technologies before. So almost a quarter of all PowerStores that are being bought are customers that are net new coming into the family, right? They're seeing this technology. They're like, I want it. I want to get involved. And so, okay, well, how do you get there? If you're a VMware shop, everybody's just going to storage vMotion right into PowerStore. It's going to be a simple way to do it. But maybe you have some bare metal servers, or you have some other things that you're doing. Any Dell server or Dell storage technology, we can discover and import in PowerStore. We've been able to do that since we launched the product. But what we've launched in 4Code is the ability to do third-party storage. So this could be any third-party block storage array. You can actually discover it in the GUI, like right in the interface, just a handful of clicks, and it'll import those volumes into PowerStore. It'll create them on PowerStore for you. It will name them for you. It will create them the same size from the destination for you. It does all of that and makes life simple in doing that migration and getting into the PowerStore family. And again, for block-based workloads, so really cool stuff there. Cloud mobility is something that we've been looking at and evaluating for a long time. In fact, a couple of years ago, we actually did a live demo, Dell Tech World, where we showed a virtual instance of PowerStore running in AWS. And there's some other storage vendors in the industry that have done that. It's, hey, you take a virtual instance of our storage array, it's a dual controller architecture, and you put that in the public cloud. There is a challenge with that. And the challenge with that is that a dual controller architected storage array doesn't have scalability in the public cloud. So public cloud and hyperscalers are all about elasticity. When you take a dual controller storage model and deploy it there, now you're bound. You're fixed into these dual node increments, which means your performance is limited, your capacity scalability is limited. If you need more, you deploy a second array. So now instead of storage sprawl on-prem, now you've got storage sprawl in public cloud, and you're not getting the scalability, elasticity, and performance. So we have this technology called Apex Block Storage. Apex Block Storage is deployable in AWS, deployable in Azure. It's completely software defined, right? So we're answering the call for leveraging high performance scalable storage in public cloud, and there's 1,000 things we could talk about, huge advantages with that technology. But when people are looking and saying, hey, we want to migrate this workload, this application to public cloud, 99% of them are not, we want to go to cloud and then maybe come back and then go back to cloud and then maybe come back. When people are making decisions around taking a particular application and saying we need to move that to public cloud, it's moving to public cloud, right? So as a result, the necessity to have a dual controller implementation technology in public cloud is necessarily valid. It's not really even necessitated. So what we've done is we've worked for a long time now. We've actually been working in relationship with a company called River Meadow, and we're launching River Meadow Cloud Mobility for Dell. What this does is for our storage products and portfolio, and here in this case particularly PowerStore, is the ability to not just replicate storage array to storage array, right? This allows you to take an actual application, an actual host, a Windows host, a Linux host, take that data, that application, and live migrate it to public cloud. Not only will it do that, but it'll actually deploy it for you. It'll upgrade the operating environment to what you want it to be at the target. So let's say if you were running, RHEL 7 on-prem, but in this public cloud environment, you needed that application to be deployed in RHEL 9, it'll actually deploy RHEL 9 and then migrate the application for you. And this is all as a service driven from an HTML5 based portal. Crazy simple to use and fully integrated with what we do from a PowerStore perspective and mobility into public cloud. So you're not bound now to a storage only instance. We can take that data set and move it from anywhere to anywhere. We even have customers doing this and saying, traditional 3-tier storage like PowerStore, and they're taking that and moving that into, say, a completely software-defined PowerFlex environment from Dell Technologies, and they're using River Meadow to re-platform those applications into a software-defined hybrid cloud on-prem. Some of the largest companies on planet Earth are already doing this stuff. So that now is available and fully integrated and capable from a Dell Technologies perspective with PowerStore. I mentioned the storage direct integration and public cloud ecosystem and integration there, so that's there. There's now in Apex AI Ops that I was talking about earlier, there's now an AI assistant there. You can actually just log into the support portal, hit the AI Ops integration, click this little starry looking icon up here, and then ask a question. What does this error code mean? Tell me how to set up active metro on PowerStore. It'll spit out step 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the links to the document. So you're no longer having to search through white papers, search through best practice documents, search through knowledge-based articles, trying to find something. It's all right at your fingertips through Apex AI Ops, and again, no cost to you, fully included in there. We've made some pretty enhanced security capability enhancements as well in the platform. I mentioned the STIG hardening and DoD aspect of things, so that is there, as well as that company ProLion I mentioned earlier with Cluster Lion for that file mobility and file metro capability. ProLion also has a ransomware protection product called CryptoSpike. If you have not taken a look at that, I would recommend it. Right? So take a look at it. So if you're running file on PowerStore, user home directories, file shares, etc., this will actually give you the ability to not only detect, hey, there's a ransomware attack, happening, but it will actually mitigate it. It will shut that user down at the AD level, for example. So this is fully integrated, capable into PowerStore, and is part of what we're bringing to the table with the 4.0 launch as well. And then just kind of bringing the conversation home here, talking about the business advantages of PowerStore. You've got that 5-to-1 data reduction guarantee that I mentioned. So you don't have to buy as much storage, right, to be able to do this stuff. If you want to go into any kind of as-a-service offering, we can make that happen. Pay by the drip, utility model, whatever it is. Our guarantees and warranties are going to be unparalleled. 3-year satisfaction guarantee. You're not taking a risk here. Give us an opportunity to fix it. If we can't fix it, we give you your money back. All-inclusive software, right? So there is no additional. You're not going to get onesie-twosie for licensing on PowerStore like snapshots and replication. Never worry data migration. The ability to say, hey, how do I get from this platform to this platform? Or how do I take advantage of that new technology? It's all built in. The ability to non-destructively, as I was showing you with clustering earlier, we can, within a few clicks, click, 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 take that workload, move it from here to here. Non-disruptive, completely seamless to be able to do it. And then lifecycle extension with pro support. Customers, say, hey, look, I've got money today to spend. I want to make sure that if you come out with some new technology tomorrow, I don't want to be left behind. I want to be able to take advantage of it, but I don't want to, have to cut POs in the future. That's where lifecycle extension with pro support comes into play. So this is giving you the ability with some unique advantages of 24/7 access to live experts. You get appointed technical advisors, as well as being able to adopt higher model upgrades, capacity refreshes. If we're coming out with larger capacity drives and you want to consolidate, the ability to get credits for that new capacity without having to repurchase everything, as well as new controllers come out, you've got access to those, right? So all of that can be included as well. So I've done a lot of rambling. Again, if you've got any questions, I'm always happy to help, to meet with you one-on-one. Hit me up on LinkedIn. All of my blog posts and articles on PowerStore are out there. The Insight team is second to none, as you saw up front. their ability to leverage their services, their support ecosystem internally, as well as the partnerships they have with us at Dell Technologies is unparalleled. So we're grateful to them, and I'll turn it back over to you guys. Insight team? You guys there? You see some folks in the chat. All right, maybe somebody else is hearing something. I'm not hearing anything on my side. But again, thanks a lot, for the time, and really appreciate the Insight team, Brian, for inviting me to be a part.